Hello everyone, my name is Roya and I'm just really in a pigtail mood for some reason. I don't know why. It doesn't really work because my hair is so thin, but I don't know what's going on here. But anyway, I'm going to tell you guys today about the books that I read in the first half of October. It's really October 11th, and not 15th or anything, but I already read 5 books, so whatever. Also, iPod is not sitting on my lap for this video right now. She is actually all the way across the room and I can still hear her purring, and that's weird. She has one seriously loud purr. I don't know if you can hear it because this camera just does not pick up audio very well, but there's a really, really loud purring cat in here. The first book that I read in the month of October, or November, I actually finished it on October 31st, so it's making its way into this wrap-up instead of my previous one, and basically, I already have a full review of this, which I will leave a link to down below, but this book is about a Persian-American girl named Daria. I loved the absolute crap out of this book, and it's not just because I'm Persian and I related to so much of the stuff going on in here, but also it has so many great discussions about different really awesome themes, and everyone in the book is diverse. Everyone is a person of color and or queer, so there are like no straight white people in this book, and it's brilliant. So definitely, if you want to hear more of my thoughts on this, I will leave that review linked down below. Next, I finished off the Wolfblade trilogy, I can't talk, with Warlord by Jennifer Fallon, and I loved this book. I actually did end up liking it a lot more than I thought I would. I thought it was going to be my least favorite of the trilogy, but I actually liked it just as much as I liked the first two, and this series is brilliant. It is a prequel series to the Demon Child trilogy, and there were some really great things about this book. I loved the way that there was this badass warrior chick who I wish could get her own spin-off series. Like, Jennifer Fallon should totally write a spin-off series about this badass warrior chick that's in this, who's a fairly minor character. Then also there's a really awesome side romance going on in here. The political intrigue in this series is so well thought out, and I absolutely loved it. The only thing that I still just do not get about this entire series is why one of the main characters, Marla, is basically, so she's the princess, she is the sister of the ruler, and her brother is a shithead and a gross pedophile, and he basically just parties all the time, and he's just a really shitty leader, so really it's her running the kingdom and not him. And yet it totally, like, he's totally excused from even having to get married and have a child or anything. It's totally on her to have an heir for the throne, basically, to like have a son so that he can take his uncle's place and whatnot throughout this entire series. Like, her brother is just such a shithead that he's just excused entirely from that, and really I think that that seems kind of weird to me, because it seems like you know, he would still have to like get married to somebody and get them pregnant, however, basically. I don't know, it just seemed really weird. It was never explained, so that was really odd. But anyway, the series is amazing, and all of her books so far that I've read are amazing. Next, I listened to the audiobook of Saints and Misfits by S.K. Ali, and this is a really awesome book about a Muslim teenage girl named Jenna. She is half Egyptian, half Indian, and her Indian father is not Muslim and doesn't really like that she wears the hijab and that she like follows her mother's religion and everything, but she's very, you know, she's very Muslim and devoted and everything. And I really enjoyed this book solely because it takes place almost entirely among a community of Muslims. The thing that I didn't really like about it is just the fact that it didn't really have an overarching plot of any kind. It was very much just a whole bunch of things going on that were all just kind of normal things, and I kind of felt like there just wasn't an overarching theme of any kind, and so that's where it kind of fell apart for me. I really enjoyed this book, but I felt like if it wasn't about Muslims, if it were just about like white kids in school or whatever, I would have been really bored. So the whole reason that I was invested in the conflict and all this stuff that was going on was because all the conflict and everything going on was unique to a Muslim teenager and all of the stuff that she has going on, basically. So it's a really, really great book, but I just wish, I feel like it could have been a lot better too. Next, I read Song of the Current by Sarah Tolkser, however her name is pronounced, and I really enjoyed this book as well. As you can see, I enjoyed all these books. This was a great reading month. So this is about a girl named Caro who basically she is a crew member upon her father's wherry, and one day her father refuses to transport a certain cargo because they won't tell him what it is or anything. So he says, I'm not going to do it. So he winds up in jail. So she ends up doing it instead because she wants to save her father from jail. And basically, this whole adventure happens, and it's really, really crazy. So I really enjoyed this book. I thought that the world building was not all there for me. I felt like it could have been a little bit more developed. And I also felt like the villains were not developed enough either, because basically we never really get to know the villains of the story at all, or why they're doing any of the stuff that they're doing. And the only time we really meet a villain properly, we still never really understand why it is he did the stuff he did at all. Like, why he was a traitor or anything. Like, we just know what he did and not the why, and we have no idea what the heck's going on. But I really, really enjoyed the characters in this book. It's very character driven. I really enjoyed kind of the world, and also the romance in this is pretty great, because it really shows consent in a relationship, which I thought was actually really brilliant. And there's just a lot of stuff that was really great about this book. I loved the fact that Sarah Tolkster really, really knows her boat terminology and whatnot. So I've read a bunch of a lot of British Navy stories and stuff like that throughout my life, and I swear this girl knows more about boats than I do. Just all, you can clearly see that she did her research and she knows what she's talking about. So that was really, really great. And finally, the last book that I read in the first half of October is Dear Martin by Nick Stone. This follows a boy named Justice who basically is combating prejudice, and he is trying to be like Martin Luther King Jr. So he writes letters to Martin Luther King Jr., hence the title Dear Martin. And this was a really, really great book. I think it's very important to read. It's a lot like The Hate You Give in a lot of ways. The only thing that I thought could have been better was just the fact that it's such a short book. It's like 200 pages. We don't get enough time to really know the characters that well. But I still thought it was brilliant. I still gave it 5 stars despite that, because in a way we almost don't need that to understand the themes and whatnot and to care about the people. I just would have liked a little bit more in-depth stuff with the characters. Also, it's really weird because one dude in this story has the exact same first and last name as someone I know, so I was like, what the heck? So these plus the one audiobook are the books that I read in the first half of October. Let me know if you've read any of these, what your thoughts are on them, and let me know what you've read so far in October, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!